Now let us discuss some factors that affect the price elasticity of demand. The first factor is nature of commodity. When the commodity is essential necessities of life, elasticity of demand is very low. That means for basic necessities of life, like food gains, consumer is not much concerned about increases in the price of the commodity. That means there will not be much change in the demand even with increase in the price. But for prestigious goods, luxurious goods and comforts, elasticity of demand is very high. That means when the price rise, there will be reduction in the demand. Second factor is number of substitutes. If a commodity has got no substitute, that is no alternative, even poor people will have no alternative but to purchase the commodity at any price. So elasticity of demand will be low. But when several close substitutes are available in the market, and with rise in the price, the consumer will start purchasing the substitutes. So elasticity of demand will be high. With availability of more substitutes, that means more substitutes would mean more options, more choices, more flexibility, and so high elasticity of demand. Number of uses of commodity. A commodity which is having only one use will have less elasticity because there will be change in the demand for only that particular use of the commodity. But product or service like electricity, which can be used in heating, cooking, lighting, and even industrial purpose also, it will have high elasticity of demand. Because whenever price rises, there will be change in demand for most of the uses, or we can say it will be put to most important use, that is lighting only. But when the price falls, electricity will also be used for less important uses also. Similar is the case with milk. When its price is high, it is used for feeding children and sick persons, and at low price it will be put to several other uses like to prepare curd, cream, ghee, sweets, etc. Price level is the fourth factor. It is not simply price, it is the price level. When the price level of the commodity is very low, very high, elasticity of demand is low. So the goods which are very cheap, the consumer will not be bothered about slight increases in the price. And when the price is very high, such goods are purchased by rich people and they will not mind because of their high purchasing power, even when there is a rise in the price of such goods. But in the middle range of the prices, demand tends to be elastic. And we often find that the middle class people generally go for bargaining. That means high elasticity of demand. Next point is position of commodity in consumer's budget. When consumer spends very small portion of the total income or budget, like matchbox, newspapers, etc., elasticity of demand is low because consumer will not mind even when there is a slight increase in the price because it is not going to much disturb the budget of that consumer. But for such goods on which major portion of the income is being spent, elasticity of demand is going to be very high. Sixth point is postponement of demand. Demand for commodity is elastic when it can be postponed as far as demand is concerned, like demand for cars, or other durable goods. But there are some necessities or life-saving drugs where demand cannot be postponed or deferred. In such cases, elasticity of demand will be low. During winter time, we require woolen clothes. And there is a possibility that at the end of the season, the price of the woolen clothes will come down. There will be off-season discount. But consumer cannot easily postpone the demand for such goods. And he will be prepared or she will be prepared to pay high price during the season. When we purchase these goods during off-season, we mostly use them in the next season. Joint demand. When some goods are jointly demanded, such goods are called as complementary goods. In such situation, the elasticity of demand for a commodity depends upon elasticity of other jointly demanded commodity. Cooler and exhaust fan, cooler pump and exhaust fan, air conditioner and stabilizer. These are some examples where elasticity of demand for one product depends upon the elasticity of demand of other product which is jointly demanded. Last factor is consumer behavior. When consumer is having addiction to use tobacco, alcohol, or drugs, his demand is inelastic. And consumer will be prepared to pay any price because of that addiction. But when there is no such addiction, elasticity of demand will be high. The concept of elasticity of demand is important for different economic agents and in different situations. The first point of importance of elasticity of demand is in making decisions. Whenever any producer, supplier, or seller wishes to decide the price of the commodity that is to be sold in the market, then the market player has to take into account the value of elasticity of demand. When the price elasticity of demand is low, the producer or the seller can easily fix a very high price for the commodity just to raise the revenue and profits. Because with low price elasticity of demand, consumers will not be shifting to other commodities so easily when there is a small variation in price of the commodity. That means the consumer will stick to the commodity under consideration. But when elasticity of demand for a particular commodity is very high, as soon as seller decides to increase the price of the product, the consumer will shift to the substitutes. So we can say the degree of monopoly power or exploitative power of the seller is inversely proportional to elasticity of demand. Lesser is the elasticity of demand, greater is the power of the seller to increase the price without losing much revenue or profits. Second point is policies of the government. Whenever the government and the policy makers formulate the economic policies in the country, they have to take into consideration the elasticity of demand for the product. For example, in the case of agriculture sector, the elasticity of demand is very low. And when I say low elasticity of demand, it is not merely price elasticity, but also income elasticity of demand, which is very low for the agriculture sector. That means if the price is reduced for agriculture products, there will not be much increase in the sales. Similarly, when the income of the people rise, there will not be much increase in the demand and hence sales. This is the reason why when there is too much production in the agriculture sector, then this sector, instead of being a cause of prosperity, may cause poverty. because these poor farmers will get less prices due to excess production, and this excess production or supply may be due to favorable monsoon conditions and best efforts made by the farmers. In order to overcome this situation, the government procured the excess supply of the commodity from the farmers at the pre-decided minimum prices, and we call it minimum support prices. And these minimum support prices are still there in the new bills which the government has thought of this year for the benefits of the farmers. And when there is no such government policy, the farmers may resort to destroying their excess production. And this is going to be a national wastage. Today, the farmers are forced to sell off their agriculture goods like onions at 5 rupees per kg, whereas the market price is 50 rupees. This is because of number of intermediaries, agents, middlemen. And some of these intermediaries or middlemen happens to be top politicians. And these top politicians corner major share of the profits from the agriculture sector. That is why the agriculture sector was made tax-free, not for the benefits of small and marginal farmers, but for the benefits of bureaucrats and politicians who have invested their money in the agriculture sector. Similarly, when there is a shortage and high price, maybe because of unfavorable monsoon conditions, the government can protect the interest of the consumers by fixing some ceiling price, the highest price beyond which the farmers cannot charge. Since these situations of shortages and surpluses arise too often in the agriculture sector, the government follows the buffer stock operation, that is, procuring stocks from the surplus areas and disposing them off in the deficit areas. The third point of importance is determination of public utilities. There are some basic or essential services like electricity, gas, water, transportation. The government declares them public utilities with the sort of government monopoly, but this monopoly is not exploitative in nature. This is social and welfare in nature. And these services are declared as public utilities because these services have inelastic demand. The users of these services are forced to pay any price or very high price in case there is no such policy of the government to control their prices by declaring these services as public utilities. Next point of importance is taxation policy. The government has twin objectives. The first objective is to increase the tax revenue so that the proceeds can be utilized for the welfare of general public, particularly poorer sections of the society. The government can increase the revenue by imposing higher indirect taxes such as excise duty, sales tax, etc. on the commodities with inelastic demand. The demand for such commodities doesn't fall much even when prices rise due to imposition of the taxes. And the burden of the tax is partly borne by the consumers and partly by the producers, depending upon the elasticities of demand and elasticities of supply. When demand is perfectly elastic, the entire tax burden will be borne by the producer. As in this case, price of the commodity doesn't rise. So the knowledge of the elasticity of demand helps the government to formulate the suitable taxation policies. Further, there are some items of mass consumption. In order to promote social justice and welfare, the government may not impose any taxes or impose taxes at a very low rate for such commodities, even when such commodities are necessities having inelastic demand. Determination of factor pricing. Elasticity of demand helps in the determination of prices of various factors of production like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. A factor which is having inelastic demand will command a high price in comparison to the factor which is having elastic demand. Further, any attempt by the trade union to demand more wages will be successful only when the elasticity of demand for the product is low. Otherwise, it may result in unemployment among the workers due to restricted production. When there is fall in demand consequent upon hike in the price of the product. So the government can determine a suitable minimum wage policy on the basis of elasticity of demand. The last point of importance is in international trade. International trade is extension of domestic trade beyond the domestic territory of the country. Same principle of elasticity of demand is applicable even in the case of international trade. Here, for sale of the goods, we use the term exports, and for purchase of the goods, we use the term import. We have already studied that there is inverse relationship between elasticity of demand and the price of the product. So a country can earn more profits by importing those commodities which have elastic demand and exporting those commodities which are having relatively inelastic demand. So it means by exporting we shall be getting more export receipts. Because of low elasticity, we can charge high price, and we will have to make less payment for the imports on account of high elasticity of demand. The government can devalue its currency to correct the imbalances in the balance of payment. And by devaluation, we mean that the government will reduce the value of our currency. And with that, our exports will become cheaper, because with same foreign exchange, the importers will be in a position to purchase more from the Indian producers. So this will help in increasing the export earnings and cutting down the import payments. So when exports have inelastic demand and imports have elastic demand, devaluation is going to be very, very successful. Otherwise, this policy may not be of any use. So we can say in brief, elasticity of demand helps the government in maintaining a proper rate of exchange for our currency in relation to other currencies. We have two other types of elasticity of demand also. Cross elasticity of demand, and the formula for the cross elasticity of demand would be percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price of other commodity. And the other commodity may be substitute or complementary goods. So the formula for cross elasticity of demand would be delta Qx upon Qx in the numerator, delta Py upon Py in the denominator. On simplification, delta Qx upon delta Py into Py upon Qx will be the cross elasticity of demand between two commodities X and Y. The main factors on which cross elasticity of demand depends is the nature of commodities. When the two commodities satisfy the same need equally well, cross elasticity of demand will be very high. Any firm can decide whether there is any use in raising the price of a product, because through cross elasticity of demand we can know what is going to be the effect on our sales when the price is increased by the other producers. And accordingly, we can decide whether we should increase the price and to what extent. Suppose the cross elasticity of demand between two rival products is 2. It means a firm can expect 20% increase in demand for its product. With every 10% rise in the price of product B produced by, say, other firm. So the firm can avoid potential loss from the strategies adopted by the rivals or the competitors. Then we can also have the concept of income elasticity of demand. And this income elasticity of demand shows the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in income of the consumer. And the formula for income elasticity of demand will be delta Q upon delta Y multiplied by Y upon Q. Change in quantity demanded divided by change in income multiplied by income divided by the quantity. This income elasticity of demand depends on the time period, because consumption patterns adjust with a time lag in response to change in the income. When with increase in the income, consumption rises, we have positive income elasticity. It is a case of commodity. When there is no change in consumption with increase in income, we have zero income elasticity. And when consumption falls with rise in the income, we have income elasticity being negative, and that shows the case of inferior goods. So inferior goods are those for which demand falls with rise in the income. For non-durable goods, income elasticity is less, particularly short-term income elasticity, because these goods are used only for a short period of time. But for durable goods which are used over a long period of time, long-run income elasticity will be less in comparison to short-run income elasticity. That means if you decide to purchase a car, that is a durable good. So in short-run, income elasticity is going to be high. You may not purchase the car if it is available at a very high price. But in long run, income elasticity of demand or long-run income elasticity of demand for durable goods is going to be less. But for milk, bread, butter, etc., short-term income elasticity is less. Even when it is available at high price, we cannot defer the consumption or purchase, and its income elasticity will be lesser. Income elasticity of demand is very useful to classify a good as inferior good, necessity, and luxurious commodity. As I said, when income elasticity is negative, the commodity becomes inferior commodity. But when income elasticity of demand is more than 0, it becomes normal or luxurious commodity. When income elasticity of demand lies between 0 and 1, it becomes necessity of life. So we can say two values of income elasticities are very important. One value will be 0, because 0 income elasticity means there is no change in quantity demanded with change in the income. And when it is more than 0, it becomes normal commodity. When it is less than 0, it becomes inferior commodity. So we can say 0 income elasticity is in a way a dividing line. And when this value is zero, that means it is absolute necessity, like life-saving drugs. Another value of income elasticity, which is very important, is 1. Income elasticity equal to 1 would imply demand for a commodity rises in proportion to rise in the income. This means the consumer continues to spend same proportion of the income on the commodity under consideration before and after change in the income of the consumer. And when this income elasticity of demand is greater than 1, it means consumer spends a large proportion of the income than what he or she was doing before the rise in the income. And similarly, if the income elasticity is less than 1, it means consumer spends a small proportion of the income than what he or she was spending before the rise in the income. So when I say that income elasticity more than 0 is a normal commodity, it can be further sub-classified as superior good when it is more than 1, necessity when it is between 0 and 1. Now the question arises, which types of goods should be produced by a producer, whether with income elasticity less than 1 or more than 1? So the answer is simple. When there is a recession in the economy, that is negative economic growth, the producer should produce goods with low income elasticity of demand. And when there is prosperity or boom period, producer should produce the goods with high income elasticity of demand. For example, suppose economy is growing at 5% and income elasticity of demand is 0.2. So the firm can expect the annual sales to rise by 5 into 0.2, that is 1%. And when the income elasticity is 2, the firm can expect the sales to grow at 10%, that is 5 into 2. So in case there is prosperity, that means positive economic growth, then with low income elasticity of demand, the gain in sales will be 1%. And with high income elasticity, the gain in sale will be 10% annually. But when there is recession, that means negative economic growth. Then with sales of product with inelastic demand, the firm in the industry can expect the sales to fall by 1%. But if it is selling the goods with high income elasticity of demand of 2, it will expect the sales to fall at the rate of 10%. So it should be clear that during recession, products with low income elasticity of demand should be sold in the market, whereas during prosperity and boom period, product with high income elasticity of demand should be sold in the market.